Okay, let's talk about this PlayStation Portal update, or I guess we can call it the PlayStation Portal upgrade. This happened this week, and I wanted to talk about it sooner, but as many of you have heard, my voice was pretty much shot throughout the week, and just through the power of modern medicine and a bunch of cough drops, I'm pretty much back in action now. So I wanted to double back and take a look at this PlayStation Portal update that was pushed, and even show you what it's actually like playing on it now, since a lot of functionality has been added to this thing. In fact, it can now act independently of a PlayStation 5 console. So you don't even need Sony's flagship system to technically play PS5 games on a piece of hardware that they released, and that is very interesting going into their next generation offering years from now. We're going to take a look at that here today, though. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that like button, subscribe if you're new. We're going to start today with this video sponsor.
Today's video is sponsored by Helix. Sometimes it isn't easy having the ultimate gamer bedroom setup. I mean, the cable for the controller can only reach so far, and we had to actually get up and walk across the room to turn the system on. Yeah, it was the Stone Age back then. But something that is easy is spending each night in top-tier comfort with a Helix mattress. The best part is they take the guesswork out of the selection process with their quiz, which will match you to the proper setup based on what you like. A mattress is not a one-size-fits-all purchase, and Helix gets that. In just a couple of minutes, you'll be matched with a mattress that meets your specific needs, and if you sleep with a partner, they can take the quiz with you to find a mattress you'll both be happy with. I was paired with their award-winning Sunset Luxe, and have been using it for a few months now. I've noticed much more restful sleep with less tossing and turning, leading to being completely refreshed the next morning, ready to take on the day. Helix delivers the mattress straight to your door with free shipping in the US. It comes rolled up in a box, which for me made it way easier to get up the stairs, and when in place, setup is a breeze. Just start opening the box and the mattress will expand in just a few minutes. There's a 100-night sleep trial, so you can test out the mattress to make sure you love it, and for peace of mind, Helix confidently includes a 10-year warranty, along with financing options and flexible payment plans. Being able to do the entire shopping process online for a mattress is way more convenient, and with the Black Friday sale, you're also saving a bunch of money. Oh, and you don't have to worry about a salesperson hovering over you looking for the upsell. Sounds like a win-win-win to me. Right now, their Black Friday sale is live, and Helix is offering viewers of this channel an exclusive discount this month. Visit helixsleep.com/spawnwave to get 27% off your mattress plus 2 free pillows and receive a free bedding bundle with your Luxe or Elite order. Take advantage of this limited time offer today and get your best night's sleep with Helix. Thanks again to Helix for sponsoring today's video.
So this was the update that people got very excited for. It was just kind of thrown out there during the week, later on in the afternoon, and people kind of double-taked a bit because all of a sudden the PlayStation Portal sort of became its own thing, as in you don't have to remote play out to your PlayStation 5 console in order to play a selection of games. Now, we come down here, they did mention a few other patch notes here, like speaker audio output adjustment to make the volume lower when the audio level is set to minimum, and you'll be able to adjust settings of your PlayStation Link device from the PS Portal settings menu. Great. But when we got down to this section here is where people really started talking, because you can stream select PS5 games in the PlayStation Plus game catalog. They have over 120 PS5 games they mentioned here with some examples. You can stream up to 1080p 60 FPS, which that is basically the roof for the screen that the Portal is equipped with. It's basically what you've been playing remote play at this point, right? 1080p 60. DualSense wireless controller features, of course, go along with that, and your cloud storage, so your save data that maybe you're playing right now on your PS5 console natively can travel with you, provided the game is currently being offered as part of the beta, or maybe just in the future at some point. Basically, if you start up a game on the Portal through cloud streaming, you should be able to pick up right where you left off on your console. Of course, we do have the drawback of it being available in certain regions at this time, so if you're not in one of these countries listed here, basically, any of the stuff I show you today is really not going to mean much because their cloud streaming is still specific to these different regions. So keep that in mind. Take a look here if you're unsure, just to see if you do want to pick up a PlayStation Portal, if you can actually take advantage of cloud streaming right now. With that said, though, if we jump over to the PlayStation Portal, you can see when you turn it on, you do have the option of your PS5 or stream from the game catalog. So before you would just have a PS5 list here, now we have this entire new option where it will start to load and then pull data from the cloud, which then presents you with a pretty simplistic menu. There's not much they need to do technically, but still, there's just, it feels kind of bare bones with this menu system, but you're just trying to jump around to a game. So when you look through the library, it's limited, but it's not bad necessarily, right? So Final Fantasy VII Remake, GTA 5, Dying Light 2 are all at the top, like a Dragon Ishin, and you start to scroll through it, and you'll see some pretty good stuff here. There's Ghost of Tsushima, you have some of the classics, like there's Dino Crisis, for example, or Siren, Control, Ultimate Edition, Ratchet and Clank, Judgment. Again, it's a fair library to start with, and considering this is just sort of the beta at this time, I assume the library will continue to grow as we go along, and the eventual goal is to make it so that you can play any games you've purchased then on the PlayStation Store. The other requirement here, you of course do need PlayStation Plus Premium, so keep that in mind. It's not exactly cheap to be streaming games on your portal if you're not already invested in some way for the ecosystem, say with like a PS5. I still view cloud gaming as a nice thing to have. It's not the main reason I would show up technically, but it is cool to go see your subscription service that you made. Maybe you have PlayStation Plus Premium and you're like, oh yeah, I can do cloud streaming with that as well. It's a little strange to do it on PS5 outside of just testing out a game without downloading 100 some odd gigabytes. With this, there is like a legitimate use case for it. So think if you go on vacation and something happens with your PS5, like power goes out and it's not going to be able to necessarily turn itself back on, put it in the rest mode or anything. You're kind of just stuck with a PlayStation Portal that has nothing to do. It can't call to your PS5 at that point. But with this, if you have an internet connection as you would need to then talk to your PS5, you'd be able to stream games from the cloud. Again, added functionality for a device just using cloud streaming. It's a nice to have thing. As for performance, I would say that Sony's cloud streaming is better than Microsoft's, but not as good as Nvidia. So GeForce Now for me is still like the top tier, but Sony's is pretty good. This is going to be like the definition though of case-by-case basis. Remember, the PlayStation Portal does operate off of Wi-Fi, so you're not wired directly in, and things in your environments, your surroundings at home, or when you're out at a public network will completely affect your experience. Some of you are going to have very good latency to where it feels almost native. Others are going to have terrible, terrible artifacting and some of the worst latency and lag you'll see. It really just comes down to the quality of connection and really location to maybe a data center. So for me, things like Ghost of Tsushima ran pretty well. Resident Evil 2 was the same thing. I was kind of bouncing between those. If I go to a first-person game, though, it's not very good, and it's just sort of always been like that with cloud streaming. So I can play a lot of the third-person action games. I can play turn-based RPGs. Those are very, very comfortable on cloud streaming. But anything that's fast or twitchy, like a Call of Duty or like a racing game where you're expected to have a high frame rate because you're making precise turns and stuff, it just has not translated well over to cloud streaming. So you're definitely going to be kind of picky with what you want to play through cloud streaming, but just based on the library that's been presented here so far by Sony, I think there's enough games here that can take advantage of cloud streaming without feeling off. I'd say the most impressive part, though, with the latency aside, the image quality. It's actually very, very good. And using the PlayStation Portal, we've pretty much just seen it through remote play anyway, so through a network connection. So it's still more of that, but I think the game streaming here is definitely leaning into the idea of supporting pretty good quality so that it matches up to that 1080p screen, and it does so, I'd say, fairly well here. So that does stick out as one of the better marks for this, is just how the game looks even in motion, swinging the camera around and stuff. Again, provided ideal conditions for streaming the game. It actually looks pretty solid. It's not quite native, but I'll give them credit, it's close. Although if you are having issues with network, I mean, you can turn the resolution down from 1080p to 720p, which I assume should help, considering Sony does separate out just the streaming requirements in terms of your upload or download speed based on resolution. So if you're struggling to pull up that sidebar, you can actually play around with some of the resolution. You will just have to restart your game, though, I assume, so it can handshake with the new setup in the data center. But bringing this whole thing back to Sony, I think it is very, very interesting to see them offer now an option that allows you to play PlayStation 5 games without needing the console. Because even the PlayStation Portal, when it came out, it was viewed as this experimental low volume device. Like, Sony didn't think they were going to release this and sell tens of millions of systems. It was basically a controller with a screen, and now it's kind of become its own little system at this time. Very much reminds me of the Logitech G Cloud, but if Microsoft had made it and it was like a first-party piece of hardware, that's what we're seeing right now with the PlayStation Portal. And to see Sony sort of treat it this way, unlock different features like cloud streaming, does make me think that, yes, they are indeed looking into the handheld sector pretty seriously. And yeah, I think in a couple of years, when we eventually get to the PlayStation 6 unveiling, say like early 2028, something like that, there will be a little handheld to go along with it, but one that would play games natively. I still think there could be a future, by the way, for the Portal, though, because if you think about it, it's designed to run off of the cloud, sure, but also just your own hardware, your own system, and it's all doing that through remote play. It's not like an overly expensive thing for Sony to do R&D for or technically produce, so maybe there's an avenue where there's a next generation PlayStation Portal as well to go alongside of the PlayStation 6, and maybe it offers higher refresh rate. Maybe it's a 4K screen. So there a lot of potential here, and the fact that Sony is even saying you don't need a PS5 to play games, you just need a Portal and a very expensive yearly subscription service. I don't know. It's not what I was expecting Sony to do right away. I figured they'd get there eventually where it was like, hey, no console required, but they're getting closer. That's kind of the thing Microsoft's running now, and I think Sony is at least testing the waters a bit more every few months, like a little bit more. And now we have a system, technically with the Portal, that is its own handheld and can operate with internet connection, but also without that PS5 in your living room. But let me know what you think about the PlayStation Portal with this latest update, especially if you have one. Did it make you go, let me try that thing out again? Or if you don't have one, did it make you want to pick one up at some point? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.